Well, hello, my name is Keith Schmacher. I serve as the director of the National Alliance for Father-Friendly Schools. We're a nonprofit organization based in North Carolina, but we serve nationally. I have had the privilege and the honor of serving schools for over the last 15 years, actually almost about 20 now that I think about it. But I have worked very closely with PTAs. I have been on several boards. I actually served on state board at one point in my life. So I have a very huge passion for PTAs, for family engagement, and for actually reaching those family members that sometimes schools miss. And it gives me a great honor and privilege to be able to help people to understand that dynamic. So the National Alliance for Father-Friendly Schools is an organization of organizations. We are an alliance of organizations that are dedicated towards serving families, towards serving local schools, and providing environments that are inclusive and welcoming. So when we talk about father-friendly schools, we want the schools to realize why sometimes it's a little bit difficult to engage all family members. Some family members may not feel comfortable with being included in the school family engagement activities. And we kind of delve into those relationships and how to make those situations better, to give schools the opportunity to be more inclusive and more welcoming. So when we say father friendly, we talk about schools that are not afraid to be intentional, to say, dads, we want you, we need you, we want to include you, and make that invitation direct. Make these people feel included, make them feel welcome, make them feel seen and heard in their community. And when they step in the door, we see changes in the environment of the school. We see changes in attendance. We see positive student achievement numbers, and we see behavior improve. We want to look at things like, how are we going to avoid conflicting with work schedules? How are we going to encourage folks that may not have had the best experience or school, maybe feel they haven't had the best experience in school, and get them over the threshold. The hardest thing about family engagement is just getting them in the door. And we provide information and resources on how to make that happen. But what we have seen in the changes in our society and our culture is that, number one, women have a major role in our workforce, and there are significantly more stay-at-home dads. There are significantly more single dads. There are significantly more dads that want to be engaged in their child's education, but the roles haven't been there. We've used terms like room mom and PTA mom over the years, and schools traditionally are used to doing that. They're not used to seeing dads showing up. We make a joke about, when a dad shows up to school, what are you going to do with him? Well, you hand him a box and give him manual labor. Yes, that there are parts of that, but dads just want to be engaged. They want to know what's going on, and just simple communication sometimes is even a barrier, because the schools primarily reach out to what is known commonly as the primary caregiver. So it might be the mom, it might be the grandmother, it might be the some maternal figure, as I said. But when we include fathers and father figures, sometimes it's a grandfather or a stepfather or a foster father, or maybe even an uncle. When we reach out and we make those invitations, we see tremendous and positive response. If we don't intentionally and specifically invite this population into being engaged in our school, they're not going to show up, because the presumption is that any communication coming from the school about the children, about the nurturing of the children, the presumption and assumption in our culture and society is that message is for mom. So we want to make sure schools understand that, understanding who it is they're communicating with, being intentional on including fathers and father figures in their communication, and creating opportunities to do that. We want to make sure that schools understand that those opportunities need to be consistent across the whole school year, and not just a one and done event. If we have, for instance, if a school has a Donuts with Dad event, that's great. That's an attempt at including these people, but let's not create the illusion that that's the only day that they're welcome. And if they miss it, they're done until the next year. We want to make sure that we have these opportunities available to them throughout the school year. So when schools and school districts are looking at their policies, practices, and protocols, they really need to think about being inclusive of all family structures. Remember, not all families look the same. And when we're talking about father-friendly school programming, one of the things that I really lean into early on when dealing with a school or a school district is making sure that we don't exclude students that don't have that role model in their life. They may not have a father, they may not, for whatever reason, they may not have that father figure in their life. And we need to be very intentional on including these families and these students, these children, into the father-friendly programming. And the way we do that is make sure that we're very clear that they're included. They can invite anyone that they like. So it could be an uncle or a grandfather, or it could be a stepfather, it could be a neighbor, it could be a coach, anybody that the family is okay with. So if we can get past the idea that dads are either not interested, are only involved as a coach on the ball field, are too busy, they work too hard, those type of things. If we can get past those stereotypes and say, you know what, we really want you, and we can't be afraid to make the big ask. If you're going to make the ask, say, hey, will you take one day out of the whole school year, give us your whole day, and we're going to put you to work? Or can you come in once a month, grab a quick bite to eat with your kids, get a good character message? Can you do that? Make that ask. Don't be afraid to make the ask. And I think that's the biggest problem that we have, is the assumption that the front office is only going to see a dad when there's a problem. The front office is thinking that, well, when a guy comes in, we don't know what to do with him. Put him in a classroom. Give him a role, give him something to do, have a go-to package to say, okay, you're here, here's something that we need. And when we're able to do that and get past the idea that room moms or center moms can be dads too, it really makes a huge difference. Just making those invitations and putting those opportunities out there makes a huge difference. If somebody calls me up and says, hey, we just don't have a bunch of dads, we would like to be inclusive and be welcoming of the sometimes the other half of parents in our school community, what can we do to make that change? Number one is just start communicating with them, making sure that they know that they are welcome and included, and you're interested in including them. Once again, consistency and accountability is really important. Make sure that there's a commitment in doing this, and make sure that it's not going to fade away or dry up, after a few incidents or whatever. Having a commitment for family engagement over the course of the school year and sustainable from school year to school year is really important.